Good evening and welcome to the Kim B. Davis Show. I'm your host, Kim B. Davis, and Happy New Year, everyone. It is
Happy New
January
Year.
2022. And yes, we have one of our favorite guests on this evening, Mr. Eric Harp. He is our certified professional fitness trainer. He's going to talk to us about resolutions and making changes to our health. But you know, we have to talk current events before we get started. So, good evening, Mr. Harp. How are you? And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and to all of your followers. And I hope that we bring 2022 in with a bang and do some great things.
Absolutely. We will absolutely do that. All right. So let's get to it. So at the beginning of the year, we learned the fate of the three men who were convicted of killing Ahmaud Arbery. Two of them were given life sentences without the possibility of parole. One was given with the possibility of parole only because he was not as, and I hate to say as guilty, but he didn't participate as fully.
Yes, he did. Okay.
Right. You know, we all agree he left his porch, he was in his truck, and he was driving. But because he wasn't actively engaged in the physical, I guess the fighting and the gunshot, they determined that his responsibility was slightly less. So from what I understand, I believe it's in 30 years he can get parole. But at the age that he is, he may not make it that long. But you know.
Right. Well, you know, one could only hope.
Exactly.
I'm so sorry. You know, as I followed the trial and as I followed that particular part of the argument, it just struck me as getaway drivers who don't get out of the car, who don't get out of the car and participate in any armed robbery or anything that goes on from there are just as guilty as the perpetrators. And so, you know, that struck me as odd. However, he did get life, and the specificity of 30 years, you know, because life could be 20 years, you know, life could be 25 years, you know, life could be whatever someone else determines, but they specified 30 years. And as you say, at his age, it would be unlikely that he would get out. And, you know, that's if he were to make it through the parole board. So, you know, that's 30 years of good behavior. He better start now.
And but, keep in mind, they have federal charges hanging over them as well.
Yes.
So now, there could be more time. I don't know, you know, concurrently, or if they will give them, you know, additional time, or what will actually happen with that. And then there are civil suits as well too.
They in for it, you know. Their families will be bankrupted with legal fees. You know, it's listen, this is you take a life, you gotta take the consequences. And in the manner that they did take this life, it was it's their just due. You know, it's hard to, you know, to jump up and down and celebrate. And, you know, when we just came off of people getting off of these types of murders, you know, it was great for the George Floyd murderer to get his sentence. It's great for the murderers of Ahmaud Arbery to get their just due. So the justice system, you know, that's why it scales. You know, sometimes it leans your way, sometimes it doesn't. And so in this way, I'm really happy for the family to get vindication. You know, you can never bring a child back, you can never bring a life back. But somehow they do get some kind of vindication. And as the civil suit grows, then the money will start coming in, and you know, perhaps they can make some new changes. So you know, 2022 and beyond can be a healing. Could be a time of healing for that family, and I'm glad for that.
And we do wish them healing and prayers, because as you said, once a life is taken, that life cannot be brought back. And speaking of which, we lost a giant in Sidney Poitier,
Yes, we
and
did.
also in Betty White. Now,
Yes, we did.
I saw a lot of people who love Betty White and were upset that some people were calling her America's grandmother. I sort of felt that she was America's grandmother, because if you grew up with grandparents like we did, you
Yeah,
watched Golden Girls. And
yeah.
I watched Golden Girls, and okay, so shameless plug, I still watch Golden Girls when it comes on, and I laugh like I did when I was a kid.
I hear you.
And Betty White did some amazing things in her time. She stood up for African Americans
Yes, she did.
and was punished for it. And this isn't to say, well, just because she stood up for African Americans that we have to applaud her. Her life's work stands the test of time. Who she was unapologetic, she was authentic, she was a decent human being who made America laugh.
Her on-screen persona was always sweet. Her on-screen
It
persona
was.
was never mean. She never took any roles that she was the bad person, you know.
Right. Right.
She never took those types of roles, or she never portrayed those types of roles. Now, and good for her. And in her time, and in that time during the 1960s, taking any kind of stand for African American, who at that time a colored person who was not popular, and she could have lost a Hollywood career. She could have lost a lot of endorsements. She could have lost a lot of things, and so she did her thing. She stood her ground. And listen, people have opinions. People have opinions. America's grandmother. Listen, she was sweet. All three of them were
They absolutely were. Now,
were parts of your grandmother.
yes, they were. They were. You would have the funny, sarcastic, and then you would have sort of the vivacious, and then you would have sort of this mean, but there would be some truth to it. And so, depending on which grandma version you got, what I loved about the Golden Girls and shows like that, there were morals that were a part of the story. So even there's an episode where Blanche, and I forgive me, I forget her actual name, but she loved the Confederacy and loved the Confederate flag. And and I believe it was Don Cheadle, who was the actor who came as, I believe, as a soldier, and people were criticizing him. And she said, but no, the Confederate flag is all about genteel living. He said, but for who? And it was this whole episode that made her give pause to the fact that she loved this. And speaking of which, when we look at Sidney Poitier's life, here is a man, an African-American man, a Bahamian man, who showed dignity, distinction, class, education, professionalism, all those things that people said that Black people weren't.
And still didn't take no jump.
That's right. That's right. And won an Oscar, rose to the highest ranks, always carried himself very well, and is someone that we hold in high esteem and regard. And so when I heard it, I went, oh wow, this year, with Sidney Poitier, like, wow. But our giants are getting up there. James Earl Jones is 90. Harry Belafonte is 94. So, everyone has an appointment with death. We don't know when that is.
That's true.
And coming through 2 years of COVID, everyone should be striving to live, to be our best and healthy selves, to enjoy every minute of our life.
Possible.
That's now, right.
If I may,
please.
We also lost a legendary NFL coach and broadcaster, John Madden. I'm sure everybody has played the video games that bear his name. We also lost, just over the last 24 hours, we lost Bob Saget.
Yes. Yes.
So
Mhm.
there's many people across this country, across this world, who grew up on Bob Saget as well.
Mhm. A
And
Full
so
House. We
uh,
watched. We all watched that.
America's Funniest Videos.
Mhm. Mhm.
we've
Mhm.
all we've all watched Bob Saget.
Mhm.
So yes, we've definitely lost a few people over these last few weeks. And
Mhm.
as you say, death is promised to all of us.
Mhm.
And we know not when it comes. And
Mhm.
so we have to live like today is the most important day. And
Absolutely.
and that's a good segue, because as we go into this new year, there's a
Mhm.
lot of people who make resolutions. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
people who make new resolutions. Last year they need to shake it off and they need to do something new.
Mhm.
Uh, every day is a new day. You
Right.
know, but what we do is we treat January 1st as that monumental new beginning. And so it's a great thing. It's a time to renew vows. It's a time to renew our commitments. It's a time to renew our zeal for getting things done. And
Mhm.
physically, this is the perfect time.
Mhm.
Many of us are in cold weather months, and so we can't get outside and do things like we want to do. But there's a lot of things we can do inside.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, right now, due to this uh, massive COVID spread of this Omicron variant, it's forcing a lot of schools to be closed.
Mhm.
So a lot of times you have to do some things inside. Just recently, I had all of my students to make sure or ensure that they had space within their homes in order to do some exercises. And so we started doing calisthenics inside the home, uh, which inspired some of the parents who were next to them to do some calisthenics.
Okay.
Uh, so sometimes, it's just a little inspiration. Uh,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know, there are gyms. There are gyms that are close by that are 24 hours or that open very early. And if you're so inclined, make a commitment to get there a little bit earlier. Get up a little bit earlier and hit the gym before you go to work.
Mhm.
You know, work out a little bit, hit that treadmill, lift a few weights.
Mhm.
You know, after that fourth day, you're kind of like, okay,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can do this.
Mhm.
You make it through that first week and start again on Monday. And then all of a sudden you start wanting to do it. You start
Mhm.
wanting to do it a lot more. And then you can start checking off the weeks. Okay, I did this week and that week and that week. You don't have to check it off by the day. Check it off by the week. Keep it simple. Once you
So
do 4 checks, you did a month.
there you go. There you go. So for those people who, because I don't do resolutions anymore, because I used to look at January 1st as that monumental day. I still do. It's the new year,
Mhm.
and it's an opportunity to plan and prioritize and reflect and think about what you want your year to look like. So I always want to set the tone for my year.
Okay.
However, I am no longer okay. It's January 5th. I haven't worked out. Okay, that the year is gone. I no longer do that. I look at it as okay, tomorrow's January 6th. We're going to go and do something. So, for those who are still doing resolutions or setting resolutions for themselves, is it just simple repetition where you just continue to do it each and every day or however many times that you do it?
Well, yes. Repetition creates habits.
Mhm.
Repetition creates muscle memory.
Mhm.
Um, so the thing that you start to think is heavy is not so heavy anymore. The thing you thought was a little impossible is not so impossible anymore, and it's empowering.
Mhm.
It makes you feel like let's tackle something else. Let's try something else. That other thing that I thought I couldn't do, let me try that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And exercise is good for you. I
Mhm.
mean, you know, I could speak all day on the benefits of it, but it's good for you. It feels good.
Mhm.
You know, it's gonna open up your lungs, the cardiovascular system, and you know, my goodness, you just feel better. You wake up better. You sleep better. Um, Everything you do, you smile more.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it's just a it's just an effect of making things happen. And as you mentioned, repetition, yes, once you do it once, do it twice. Now
Mhm.
do it 3 times. Wow. Keep going. Eventually you stop, you'll take a break and jump back on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, I don't want anyone to feel like it's so taxing that once you start, and oh my goodness. And there are those who jump off the horse immediately. They start, they jump off, they start, they jump off, they start again. And then they get frustrated by the cycle of jumping on and jumping off. And it is frustrating.
Mhm.
Um, those who get memberships and then never go and then find out that they're tired of paying a bill for something that they never use.
Mhm.
Um, and my simple my simple response is do it.
Right.
Use it. You know, Nike's Nike has made generational wealth off of those words. Just
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So all we have to do is put one foot in front of the other, and then put the other foot in front of that one, and another foot in front of that one. And next thing you know, you're walking,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you turn around and you see how far you've gone, and you can say, "Wow, look how far I've gone."
Mhm. Mhm.
And you get proud of yourself. You're empowered, and you say, "Well, let's find another destination. Okay, let's go over here.
Mhm. Mhm.
Let's go over there. Let's try this. Let's try that." I
Mhm.
have people who never jumped before.
Wow.
They never with the weight that they would carry, they couldn't jump. As
Mm.
they start to trim down, uh, because they had never jumped, they didn't feel confident in jumping,
Mhm.
getting their feet off the ground. And you don't have to jump high, but once that person got her foot off the ground,
Mhm.
she was in tears.
I bet.
She felt empowered. She was like, "What else can I do?
Mhm.
Let's see how I can run. Let's
Mhm.
see." And now she's doing fitness classes and jumping and it's just changed her. It's changed her world. And her attitude towards work is different. Her attitudes towards her family is different, and their attitude towards her is different.
Wow.
And
Good for her.
so there are success stories.
Mhm.
And I wish that everyone who's heard it before, because we all have heard it before, is just do it.
Mhm.
There's no better time than right now. How many other phrases can we? Ain't nothing to it but to do
Exactly.
it. so, so we've all heard it in several different ways, and that's what a New Year's resolution is. And it's like, on December 31st, if that's what it is, then shake that off. And
Mhm.
when you get up on January 1st, let's go. Put those
Exactly.
2 feet on the ground and let's go. You
Mhm.
know, we can shake off the party the night before.
Mhm.
Drink some water,
A lot of water.
eat a nice breakfast,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then let's get to it. And start slow.
Okay.
Start slow.
Mhm.
I don't want anybody biting off more than they can chew.
Mhm.
Um, I mentioned about the young lady who jumped. But,
Mhm.
it took some exercises. It took some things to get her to do it. It wasn't just on demand jump,
Mhm.
but she was willing to put one foot in front of the other.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times I recommend, if you can work with the trainer, work with the trainer. If you can't, go to a gym that has um, helpful staff,
Mhm.
who can give you some information about a program to start. small, and work your way up.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself that 10 minutes on a bike. We know how to ride a bike. Everyone knows how to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself 10 minutes on a bike.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can sit down in a recumbent bike, or you can get on a bike that's more like your speed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to run on the treadmill. Briskly walk.
Mm-hmm.
Briskly walk. Find that speed on the treadmill, which is about 3.0, 3.5, and briskly walk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and things will come together. And that's putting one foot in front of the other. If you're so inclined to lift weights, start small.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Start with something you know you can lift.
Mm-hmm.
And lift it 15 to 20 times in 2 or 3 sets.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let your body get used to just a little resistance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after you check off those or make those 4 checks and you found out you just did a month, okay, maybe you want to move it up 5 pounds, 2.5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Start small, keep it small. But you're moving one foot in front of the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the time that the good weather comes, for those who are in this winter months, by the time the good weather comes, now you're ready to do some things outside.
Mm-hmm.
You'll feel a little more confident about doing some things outside. So for those dog walkers, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Jog with that dog. That dog would love it.
Mm-hmm.
Those with younger children, go ahead. Let them run. Chase them.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find a little exercise in everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be so cumbersome. It won't be such a drag to make you feel like you have to start and stop and start and stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you wouldn't have to have such a big resolution every January 1st.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, I want to lose 50 pounds this year and I'm going to do it in 6 months. And that first month, when you don't get the results that you're quite looking for, you feel frustrated.
Yeah.
But speaking of which,
Yeah.
so for those of us that are looking to do small changes, because
Mhm.
I'm all about having a healthy lifestyle. I
Okay.
want to be able to eat what I want
Mhm.
and still be able to work out. I don't want to necessarily restrict myself. But having said that, what are some things that we can do to incorporate into our healthy regimens to make ourselves more prone to be healthier this year? Is it just drinking more water? Is it getting better sleep? Is it walking more? I mean, there's so many different things that we can talk about. It's because
Well,
COVID is still here. And one of the things that we keep hearing, the healthier you are, the less chance that you will encounter some of the severe side effects that end up hospitalizing you. And no
yes.
one wants to be hospitalized. We all want to be able to get through this so that when it's over and done, that we can continue on with our lives.
Well, I'm glad that you really asked that question. And for all that are listening, please, this comes with a warning. Do not put all of your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are many people who want to lose weight. They want to lose weight. They want to lose weight. So they starve themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really work. You know, you might lose, you'll lose a few pounds by starving yourself. Of course, it's not healthy.
Mm-mm.
But your body goes into survival mode, and it starts to store fat. It starts to store those things that you're really not asking for. All right. So all of those things, sleep better. Yes. You want to sleep better? Eat more. Eat more fruits. Eat more vegetables. But eat on a schedule. You know, a lot of us just eat.
Mm-hmm.
We'll either eat and snack all day, or we just, put all our eggs in one basket and eat these big old meals. You know, No,
Mhm.
that's not the thing is have your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. Those are your three square meals. Now put your snacks in the middle.
Mhm.
So if you're eating breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning and you don't eat lunch until 12, well, that's 5 hours. We'll break that up a little bit and have a little snack.
Mhm.
The snack doesn't have to be a candy bar.
Mhm.
We're not talking those kind of snacks or some Lay's, excuse me, on any promotions, on any chips.
Right. Right. Right.
It doesn't have to be pops, chips, and candy,
Mhm.
but take a snack. So let's say you have half a sandwich,
Mhm.
and then at lunch you have the other half a sandwich. You know, eat on schedule so that your body can get used to a schedule.
Mhm.
And then your body will maintain weight. It will move things. It will pass things. It will do things you need to know. It will maintain a weight for you.
Mhm.
Okay. Add
Mhm.
in the exercise. Add in the exercise. Your body will do exactly what it needs to do. And again, keep it simple.
Mhm. Mhm.
Go
And
to
so,
bed. Go to bed earlier.
yes, that is actually a good one. And so, speaking of schedules,
Yes.
we talk a lot about, and you've said this before, Mr. Hart, you like to work out first thing in the morning. You
Yes.
are up and early. So for us people that are not morning people that like to work out in the evening, are there some reasons why we should think about switching our time to the morning, or are we okay to work out in the evening?
There's really not. This is for your schedule. This is for each individual schedule. Um, um, the most important thing is that you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if after work it works best, then work out after work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, our bodies will adjust and recognize a schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and will crave that schedule. Let you know you just missed a little something. No.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who've worked out on schedule, as soon as you stop and your body lets you know that, hey, 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 you
Mm-hmm.
sure you want to stop?
Aren't we supposed to be walking right
Are
now?
we supposed to be doing something right now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not going to use me, then let me shut down a little bit. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, wait a minute. I thought I
Right.
could do this.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
your body recognizes a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sleeping better can easily be adjusted by turning the TV off,
Mm-hmm.
turning the lights off. Um, if you're into the Bible like I am, don't go
Mm-hmm.
to bed mad.
Right.
Don't go to bed angry. You
Mm-hmm.
know, settle all your debts before you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can sleep with a clear mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, however, there are changes that can be made, but you don't, or no one has to put all of their eggs into one basket and then be disappointed by the results that they're not getting,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's a team effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team effort. You can't do, no one stands alone. We've said it in many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who stand on scales daily, six
Mm-hmm.
times, 7 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Drive yourself crazy doing that,
Exactly.
because you can lose 2 pounds in the early part of the day, gain 4 pounds in the later part of the day. And you're like, wait a minute, now I'm 2 pounds over.
Yes.
And you'll do this every day with
Mm-hmm.
the goal of losing 50 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is the hardest muscle to train,
Yes, it is.
because now we have a tendency to get set in our ways. And once we get disappointed, then we start to give up. And once we give up, then it's very hard to be encouraged.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way to do the other cycle is to keep putting that one foot in front of the other, and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm so happy that you brought up this muscle right here, because that is our largest muscle. And when you talked about not going to bed angry, not going to bed with anxiety or worry, one of the things that I would encourage everyone that's watching this or listening to this is to journal. Write down what you fear. Write down what you are worried about. Write down what you are angry about. If you're angry with someone, sometimes you can't necessarily address it to them at that moment where they are receptive of it or are ready to discuss it. Sometimes people need distance, and sometimes that happens over the course of a day, a night, or several days, even several weeks. So write down what you're feeling. At least that way, you have communicated your thoughts and your feelings. You get it off your mind, and you can go and rest and be calm. And so we want to encourage everyone to be able to get more sleep, to be able to drink your water, take your vitamins, get vaccinated. I know vaccination is a touchy subject for a lot of people, but listen, this is the best example that I heard. So this doctor, I believe he was from Kentucky, he said to one of his callers, he said, now, if you knew that someone might have an STD, would you have relations with them without being protected? And they said no. He said, well, then why would you go out and have communication or connection to people and you aren't protected with a vaccine? I was like, ooh, that's powerful.
Well, I heard a good one too. Tell you
What was that?
He said, when you put a bulletproof vest on, he said the bulletproof vest won't stop the bullet, but it'll stop the bullet from killing you.
That's right. That's right.
He said, so this vaccine. He said it might, especially with this Omicron variant, in the way that people are treating it, because you can catch it when you're vaccinated, you can catch it whether you're unvaccinated. Okay. Well, hey, you get the vaccine, you got a bulletproof vest on. You're not going to stop the bullet, but you can stop the bullet from killing you.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I thought that was a powerful one. And I said, that makes so much sense. And anybody wanted to argue that one, I'm like, well, then go out without a bulletproof vest.
Exactly. Because in today's time, we almost feel like we have to go out literally with a bulletproof vest because there's so much fighting and violence and anger everywhere.
May I?
Please.
January 6th.
Yes, I was going to that.
January 6th. So we just marked a year.
Yeah.
It's a year of infamy. It's not a year to celebrate, but it's marked in infamy. But January 6th definitely happened. Now, of course, we were going to have the former president speak and have an engagement down in his property in Florida on January 6th. And
yes,
for whoever had the calm brains to talk him out of it, kudos to that person. Exactly. But the fact that they were going to. Now, who did have a speech was Marjorie Taylor Greene, and her other puppet, Matt Gaetz.
Yes.
Now, those two had a speaking engagement to refute the January 6th shenanigans, the committees and what have you. And all they could talk about was the only person that died was the unarmed veteran shot through a window. And her only crime was crawling through a window. And I'm like, wow.
Right.
The spin that we put on it on the day. Here we have officers who've died. Officers who've died from this.
On video, Mr. Hart. Remember, it was on video. We've seen it. Officer Sicknick.
Officer Sicknick. Yeah.
Yes. I saw a report on Fox News that was blaming Black Lives Matter for it,
I
and
know.
how people are tired of the violence. And I thought, okay, there were a few folk of color in this crowd. It was integrated. Let's
I
not
mean,
be deluded.
listen, there's nothing in this country that you make, well, I won't say nothing, but
Right.
you gonna get, us, listen, we got our people on the other side too. So
Yes, we do.
and I hate calling out names, but I'm going to. So our
Please do.
Candace Owens and our Dan Bonginos and
Mhm,
our,
mhm,
and our Larry Elders and
mhm.
and these particular folks who are standing on the sidelines blaming Black Lives Matter for it too.
Right.
And
Right.
it doesn't have to be a racial thing, but
It-
the video speaks for itself.
Let me tell you what I remember. I remember watching staffers run for cover. And I have said this. I've worked on political campaigns. I've worked for local politicians.
Uh-huh.
And when you travel with politician, you are working for that particular person. And to have someone crash into the people's house where legislators sit and debate and argue and make laws that benefit all of us as Americans, and to walk in and steal things, to climb onto scaffoldings and break glass, to threaten people is a travesty and a sin and a shame on this
Yeah,
country. And
it
this
is.
denial that we have is unbelievable.
The whitewashing of history
Yes,
right in front of our eyes.
yes,
The whitewashing of history is like, you didn't see what you saw, and the
e-
record books aren't even going to talk about it like this.
exactly.
So, so you're right that it's happening right before our face.
Mhm,
And, it is a shame.
mhm,
Now, the arguments and the legal proceedings right now of is Trump to blame.
mhm,
And not only Trump, but who else incited this
mhm,
mob?
mhm.
Because there were other people, who had speeches and incited this mob as well.
Mhm,
Now, I'm listening today. If we're dating this, we know that today is January 11th,
mhm,
um, 2022.
mhm,
Uh, Today, live, I'm watching another yet round 6, round 7 of Senator Rand Paul versus Dr. Fauci.
mhm,
Now,
mhm,
Rand Paul has repeatedly blamed Dr. Fauci for this disease.
mhm,
He's blamed Dr. Fauci for the COVID
mhm,
outbreak. He's
mhm,
blamed him for all of the deaths that
mhm.
have occurred here in the United States.
Yes.
And because he's blamed Fauci, of course, there's the campaign about, stop Fauci, fire Fauci.
Mhm,
But they even got killed Dr. Fauci.
mhm,
Okay?
mhm, mhm.
Now, here's what I really like today, and I got to just say,
Please.
Dr. Fauci, he had his little moment in the spotlight, and he said, all right now, Senator Paul, you are the one who's to blame.
Mhm,
He said, you're the one that's to blame. And
mhm,
guess why you're doing it? You're doing it because he held up a piece of paper and he said, your website says stop or fire Dr. Fauci, and next to it, you have a donation boxes so
mhm,
that you're asking people to donate to your campaign.
mhm,
He said, you are using me and this horrible disease, this pandemic, for
mhm.
your political gain.
Exactly.
Called him out on it. And
Mhm,
then he told a story about how a man came from Sacramento, California, and got caught speeding in Iowa. And the police asked him what was he doing and where was he going. And he said that he was going to Washington, D.C. to kill Dr. Fauci. And
wow.
they found an AK-47 and several magazines in his car.
See. Mm, mm,
And this is that kind of stuff.
mhm,
It's like all fun and games until one of these high up people get killed.
mhm.
You
And we
know,
saw this in Michigan, remember? They went after the governor.
Mhm.
They
And those
were
people's day is coming too. Their day is
there.
coming. We have yet to hear about all of their legal situations, but it's
Mhm.
coming.
Mhm.
And that's why I do love this segment of your podcast in which we talk about these things, because you know it's amazing. You can't write this stuff up. I mean, you read it about it in a book and then you say, what? It happened.
Exactly. As an artist, I couldn't create this because everybody would say, Kim, this would not happen.
This
This
would
is
not
not
happen.
realistic. You need to go back and change your plot. This is fantastical. And yet here we are living it and
Another
going,
Nixon. Mhm.
right. And just shaking our heads at the absurdity of all of this.
Some are shaking their heads. Some,
True.
some people are eating it up, hook, line, and sinker. Some of your, they watch your top anchors, and they're following every word they say. I don't know if you caught the exchange between Fox's Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz.
I heard about it. I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but tell us a little bit about it because our time is running short.
Okay, well, Ted Cruz had several times called the January 6th the terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tucker Carlson was like, whoa. Ted Cruz, you don't use words by accident, but yet you called it a terrorist attack. How could you do that? And then he got on Tucker Carlson's show, was like, I didn't mean to call it a terrorist attack. That was sloppy phrasing. What I meant to say was anybody who attacks cops should go to jail. just the backpedaling has been funny.
Yeah.
Listen, I know our time is short, and I thank you for the floor. This is amazing, and I'm sure next month we'll have a whole plethora of things to talk about as well.
We absolutely will. So before we go, thank you, Mr. Hart, for coming on and telling us how we can set our resolutions, how we can make those small changes to help ourselves be healthy, and how we have to keep our minds strong so that we can keep our body strong as well. Tell us how we can reach you and how we can find you, all your social media links.
Right. You can direct email me at ericharp9@gmail.com. I will answer. Also, you can find me at ESQ360 at all your social platforms.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hart, for being on the Kim B. Davis Show. I know that next month, as you said, we'll have another exciting topic. And of course, as the year cranks back up in politics and everything else, we'll have so many more topics to talk about in terms of current events. This is going to be a busy year politically. We've got midterms coming up. So it's going to be a lot to talk about.
You got that right. Thank you very much, Ms. Davis.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning into the Kim B. Davis Show. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere on social media. And it's Kimberly Batchelor Davis, BATCHELOR. You can see this show on youtube.com/Kimberly Batchelor Davis. You can hear this show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google. And you can learn more about me as an author at Kim B. Davis, all one word.com. Thank you again for tuning in. Again, Happy New Year. It's going to be a fantastic year. Believe in it. I believe in you. And as always, remember, be magnificent.